For lesson 2.1, students had to figure out greatest common factor to do several different types of problems. One of the problems that they had to do, or one of the ways that they could solve these types of problems, would be the kind of the traditional way of doing this. You list your factors. And so when I have students do this, I ask them to always start with 1 and then list 1 times what? 8, and put it at the end and then go from there. So then from there we have 2, that would be times 4, and then that would be it. And then we go to 12, we do 1 and 12, and then 2 and 6, check 3, and that works, and then 4. And then that way you make sure you get them in order and you don't miss any. And then once you get to the middle, you're done. And then we go through and we circle all the common factors, and then the greatest common factor, or the GCF, would be 4 in this case. So that's the traditional way of looking at it. But as we did in class, or as we looked at in class, showed them a different way to be able to find that. And so what we do is you start off with what would be maybe called goalposts, or however you want to call it, but draw 2 lines, go all the way across, and then let's go ahead and just keep 8 and 12, just because it's an example we know. And the first thing you ask yourself is, okay, what's a factor of both 8 and 12? And so let's say the students start off with 2. And then you ask, okay, how many times does 2 go into 8? Or you could ask, how many 2's get us to 8, or 8 divided by 2? Any one of those things is fine. So how many 2's go into 8? And that's 4. And then how many 2's go into 12? And that is 6. And so now you ask for this next line, okay, is there anything that you can multiply to get 4 and 6, or factors of 4 and 6, that's not 1? And this again, okay, so now we have 2 again. And so how many 2's into 4? 2. How many 2's into 6? 3. And then you ask yourself, is there anything other than 1 that I can multiply to get both 2 and 3? And the answer is no. So then you come over here, and in this column, you circle the numbers that are in that column. Sometimes there's 2, sometimes there's 1, sometimes there's 3. It could be depending on how students choose to get there. And we multiply those. And there we have our greatest common factor. So if we want to see another example, we could, let's take another example, and let's go ahead and do, so we'll start with our field goals, and let's say that we have, let's say 36 and 48. And students start off, let's say they start off in this case with 4. And so 4 into 36 would go 9 times, 4 into 48 would go 12 times. And then do the same thing. How many into 9 and 12? A factor for both 9 and 12 would be 3. So 3, how many times 3 going to 9? 3. How many times does 3 go into 12? 4. Any factors for 3 and 4 they have in common? No. So we circle these and do 4 times 3 equals 12. And that's our greatest common factor, is 12. Now, this also lends itself to, or finding these this way, or any way, really, I guess. You can find a problem that's set up such as you have a 40 pens. So let's say you have 40 pens and you have 60 pencils. Or actually, let's say 80 pencils. And you want to create bags, you want to give them out, but you want to create the greatest amount of bags possible. So I could make one bag, right? And I could put all of them in to that one bag. All right, but that really wouldn't be that many bags. We couldn't give it to that many people. So we want to create more bags. We want to create the greatest number of bags possible. So if we look at it that way, if we set this up and we find the greatest common factor, so let's say that we do 10, and 4 10s go in there, and then 8 10s go in there. And then for here, let's say this is, let's say students say 2. And we'd have 2, and we'd have 4, and then we'd have 2 again. And this would give us 1, and this would give us 2. So we take this column, and we multiply that. 10 times 2 is 20, times 2 is 40. Sometimes students think they can't get a 1 down here, but that's okay. But we just can't have a 1 in this column. We did 10 times 2 times 2, so we have 40, so our greatest common factor is 40, which means that we can make 40 bags. And then in each bag, we would have 1 pen and 2 pencils. And these numbers come from right down here. Hope this helps.